Hi everyone, we're into week 7, chapter 10 of Hosea. As I've said many times already, and we'll probably say a few more times, Hosea is a collection of individual prophecies delivered over a long period of time. And so some of the prophecies have quite a unique theme or flavor to them. And just an interesting one to note as you read through chapter 10, it's very much built around an agricultural theme, particularly around sowing and reaping. And so obviously Israel is an agricultural nation, and so there's often reference to their harvests and wealth and prosperity and that sort of thing. But in this chapter, it's quite beautifully, it's amazing. It's a chapter that very much delivers the judgment of God, but it's actually quite beautifully written. Beautiful poetry that has been crafted very meticulously around this idea of sowing and reaping. So just interesting to see how even challenging passages can be quite beautifully delivered. A prophecy from God can actually be in poetry. It's amazing. Anyway, so sowing and reaping, very much the kind of big picture idea throughout this passage. And one of the interesting context to Israel's judgment, or this time of reckoning with God, is that materially they've actually been doing quite well. After the kingdoms are split, they're still in the promised land. It's still a very good place to be farming and raising your flocks. They've got their kings. None of the kings last very long, but the nation itself is secure. No one has invaded it until eventually Assyria does come in. And so I think it is worth noting that this was not a nation, we know they weren't being faithful to God. They built calves almost immediately to worship. But this was not a nation that, had been faithful to God, and then things had gone badly and they'd started looking, for outside help. They were doing well. They were prospering. They were safe. They were secure. They chose kings. Their kings, internal politics split the kingdom in half. And they chose unfaithfulness, despite living in a prosperous environment, despite enjoying the promises that we get spelt out in Deuteronomy. And so I think it's just worth kind of pegging as we try and understand how things get so bad so fast in terms of their relationship with God. This was, unwarranted unfaithfulness. And it seems like the prosperity that they have, the blessing that they're enjoying, is actually part of the context which starts to lead them astray. And if you read the I think it's Deuteronomy 8 passage that we're going to look at, it's amazing how President Moses' warning to them going in is saying there is going to be good times ahead. God has promised us good times, but don't let that make you proud, and don't let that distract you from obedience to God. And again, that is exactly what happens. And so we've chatted a bit in the past about how good times can lead us to faithfulness or unfaithfulness. And for some of us, I think we said good times are where you're most faithful, and I think for most people though, challenging times are actually where we are most likely to draw to God in desperation. And certainly looking at the course of history, it is the moments where Israel is at its weakest where they're most likely to come back to God. So we're going to talk a bit about that, a bit about how we think about prosperity. We'll read some passages from the New Testament. John 15 talks a bit about how we remain fruitful. And there are a couple of passages from Matthew where Jesus also makes some very specific warnings about the dangers of wealth. So look forward to talking more about that. I'll see you on Thursday. Bye.